Well, everybody, Wes McDonald here from West Wonders. And today is actually just a surprise live stream because I realized when I got into work this morning that it was May the 4th. And as many of you know, I am a huge Star Wars fan. And May the 4th is kind of a big deal with us nerds. So the first time I saw Star Wars, I was 7 years old. And it actually did make a big difference in my path. My dad took me to see Star Wars. I remember the first time in Red Deer, Alberta. There was a huge lineup. Didn't know what I was in for. And being a small town kid from a farming town, I was absolutely blown away and felt like Luke Skywalker, thinking, that there's more for me in this life than this small town. And that really did carve out a lot of stuff in my life for the chances I took in the business world and how I moved forward, et cetera, right? To boldly go into the future. So what I thought I would do today, and you're quite welcome if you do log in to leave your own comments. You can see the comment box on the side. But I'm going to share with you some of my favorite Yoda quotes. As we all know, Yoda is very wise. And the first one that I want to bring on, and it's kind of timely actually, is always pass on what you have learned. This one's really important. And as you all know, I just finished doing a 10-day live stream with Kenneth Edmonds. It was awesome. We had a lot of good folks in there. And we were sharing, I have learned so much about flat rate billing for managed print since I started it so many years ago. And to be able to share that and pass it on, I think is absolutely critical. So I guess the question is, in your own business life, what kind of things are you sharing? What kind of things are you giving back? I am the president currently of the Managed Print Services Association. If you're not a member, you should definitely check us out. Just visit yourmpsa.org. This is a place filled with people that are giving back, that are passing on what they have learned over the years, making the managed print community that much stronger. So make sure you check that out. BTA is another great one, belong to that one as well. CompTIA, wonderful places for people to give back because we've been pretty fortunate. As much hard work as we put into everything that we do, there is a mix of good fortune there. So make sure you pass on what you have learned. The second one that I have: how often when we start new initiatives that we don't have enough patience to see it through, that we want to see faster results, and sometimes happen on their own. And that's one of the big lessons I've learned. I think the older you get, the more that you realize this is important, that you have to have patience, that generally any new idea or new business endeavor, anything that is going to be substantial in your life is going to take a lot more time than you probably expect. So give it 2 years, give it 3 years, not 2 months or 3 months. That you've really got to put in the time and just allow the process to take root, to make sure that the hard work you did in the planning, that it has time to grow. And that's not going to happen overnight. So in the managed print services world, if you're starting a flat rate program, or if you're actually looking at diversifying into technology services, et cetera, this is something that you should have in your long-term plan. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I've heard from a lot of people that started something, put their foot in the water. After a few months, they didn't feel it was going the way that they wanted to and quit. And, when you're doing something new, look back in your career. Any time that you've done it, you've had to have patience for those things to happen. So that's another good one from Yoda. I like this one. I'm not sure I'm very good at it. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear. And I would say certainly having moved through this pandemic season that we've been in, which we're still going through, that there is a lot of fear about the future, about will this happen again? How will it affect my business next year? We hurt. In the Office Equipment channel, we lost a lot of pages and we had reasons to fear things. So like I said, I'm probably not as good at this one as I would like to be, but train yourself to let go of everything you fear. And, I guess at the end of the day, sometimes it keeps the fear at bay, even if you can't get rid of it all. And there are certainly days when I get up and come into the office and wonder what the hell is going on. But there are other days, because I try and push through that fear, where I'm absolutely amazed at some of the awesome things that have actually happened for me professionally in 2020 and 2021. I can't even believe it actually sometimes when I look back, but it really was pushing through that fear. The 10-day challenge that I did with Kenneth Edmonds was a really good example of that, right? 10 days of putting ourselves out there live every day, just like I am now, the world ready to see your mistakes. But it was an incredible experience. And I encourage you to do those things. So if you're looking at adding video or some other forms of media to your thing, but you're afraid that you may not have the personality or the wherewithal or the time or any of those things else to really push through those and just, get out there and do it, let go of that fear. Oh, this is a good one. You will find only what you bring in. And if anyone remembers, this quote is actually from The Empire Strikes Back. And Luke found that there was a dark cave, and Yoda encouraged him to go into this cave. And he decided that he had to bring his weapons even after Yoda told him. But his advice was, you'll only find what you bring in. So when he went into this place and it was dark and he, met with Vader and everything else, that was going on inside him. And far too often, we try and push blame on other people for things that happen to us, both in our personal lives and in our professional lives, right? And guilty as charged. But certainly the older I've gotten, the better I've gotten at looking inward, at trying to find out what I could do better. Because the truth is, in business as in life, the only thing we can control is our response to things, right? So there was another great geeky quote from Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. And when he was talking with Frodo, he said that, basically we cannot choose the time in which we live, only that which we do with it, right? So this advice is really important. Yes, there are going to be things that impact our lives from the outside. Yes, there are circumstances that are beyond our control, but how we respond to those things and the attitude that we have going into our professional lives makes such a huge difference. When I started in the Office Equipment channel as a managed print services specialist, I thought it was really just kind of a part-time job, right? And I accelerated my career through first being a managed print specialist, then working as a national accounts manager, then upping my game into working with global distribution partners, then being on my own, then inventing the flat rate model for managed print, seat-based billing, and on it goes, right? And those kinds of things were through a lot of reflection to be able to make sure that I could actually push through to the things I believed in, right? So bring in your joy, bring in your expectation that anything is possible. And guess what? It just might be. Some good advice here, Yoda. Difficult to see, always in motion is the future. And if anyone that is watching this now, either live or recorded, didn't end up doing something differently from when they were 7 years old and they said what they wanted to be when they grew up, you're a very rare person indeed. That the circumstances of life and the directions that we sometimes go on, because the future is always in motion, changes sometimes. And I have found that it's usually for the best. So again, depending on what we do with that, you only find what you bring in, truth, that this motion and future, once we understand that it's really our reaction and our responses to that which are important. So Yoda, thanks for that great wisdom. Yeah, this one's kind of cool too, right? Your path, you must decide. And my path has certainly been convoluted. So when I went to university, I actually studied English literature and psychology. And I often get asked, when people found out I went down a sales and marketing road, they said, what on earth did those have to do with sales and marketing? And I said, well, a couple of things. One is my degree in English literature really helped me to understand the power of language and communicating, that words matter, that the way that you present things can make a huge world of difference, right? And that's one thing my dad always said to me, which I loved. He always said sometimes it's not the what, it's the how. And certainly that English degree really drove that home for me, that you could try and do the same thing, but depending on how you present it, depending on what you bring to the table in both your language and your proposals and everything else, that can really up your chance of winning, right? And the psychology part too, because, let's face it, when we're in sales, the one thing that we are always doing is trying to condition that sale in our favor. And yes, we're trying to do what's right for the customer. We always should be. But there is a psychology of understanding the buyer persona, the buyers that we're trying to sell to, and trying to influence them to bring them into our world, to be happy that they made a decision to do business with us. And so certainly that, psychology degree helped me there. And choosing a path that was different necessarily from the one that most people thought I would take. And that's what you've got to do, is no matter what inkling you get, it doesn't have to be the path that you decided, initially, or when you're going to university, or, in the first 5 or 10 years of your career, that path that you choose can continue to change and be different depending on what you want it to be. The last one, I love this. I'm a huge believer in this, and sometimes it works for me, other times it doesn't, but that try not, do or do not. There is no try. In other words, if you're going to do something, get out there and do that, right? So for all of my friends in the Office Equipment channel and in the technology space, if there are things that you are looking to do, don't say you're going to try, just do it, right? And one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to over time succeed, or you're going to fail. And either way, and actually that's another quote I don't even have on here from Yoda, which is failure is the best teacher, right? And it's a quote that's been used for, probably thousands of years for many, but failure can sometimes give us the best lessons that we've ever had. And only by doing will we encounter that. So again, there is no try. Let's just get out there and do it. So here's me again doing a live stream, impromptu, May the 4th, not trying, just doing it. So it's going to be a short one today. I've actually got quite a bit to do. I'm working on some marketing materials for a customer that I do business with from across the pond. And I've got quite a few documents actually to create for some other customers too. And that's part of what I love about what I do, is actually that creation element. So it's actually something I get excited about when I can sort of put my head down and create some of these things, right? So if you're watching a recorded version of this, feel free, you can still comment. Are there any favorite Star Wars truths that you have on this May the 4th? Do you celebrate May the 4th? Or are you like some of my friends who are more Star Trek people and think Star Wars is terrible? Whatever that is, it is May the 4th, and May the 4th be with you. Take care all. Be well.